Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Rachel Waldman, the Director of Jewish Federation, and I kind of help Kaleem Shabazz run Bridge of Faith. We are so glad to see you all here. It's a really nice, diverse group of people. We're excited to have Tim here from JFed Security. He's going to walk us through this situational awareness training. It's about an hour, and I hope you find it very informative. He'll be here after if you have specific questions about your houses of worship or whichever spaces you belong to. Take it away, Tim.
Sounds good. How is everyone tonight?
Great.
So I'm not using a microphone, so if at any time you can't understand what I'm saying, you can't hear me, just raise your hand and let me know. It's okay to interrupt. Okay? Sure, sir? All right, so I'm supposed to be giving this with another gentleman tonight. If you've had these with us before, Sean Redman usually gives this, and I'm usually the color commentary. Because he's stressed out, so I do all the funny stuff. He can't make it tonight. He had an issue with his family, so he sent me. Now, we had a little AV difficulties, so forgive me if this is a little slower than it usually is. I had to use a TV tonight. He had the projector. I don't have it, and I had to come here from a different location. So I apologize in advance. All right, so who's had this before with JFed? A couple hands, right? I know the rabbi has. I've been with him before. I don't recognize any of you.
I'm from Beth Israel.
You're from Beth Israel? Okay. Do you recognize me do you? Awesome. So usually we'll give this, and then there's a separate class where we do a walkthrough. But I understand you're all coming from different places. You're not members of this congregation. So I understand. So we're not doing that tonight. We will do it at your congregation, your synagogue. If you ask JFed to come, we'll definitely walk you through. So we're talking about situational awareness and active response. All right. So who has a definition of situational awareness that they could share with everyone? Who knows what that word means?
Be watching who's coming in, what's going on around you, with faces you might not recognize.
Okay, so our perception, just paying attention to the people that are in her social sphere, that around her, wherever she is. Everybody has a little bit of a different definition of it. And we'll get into what the common definition is, and I'll give you my definition of it. But very good, that's exactly what it is.
I took the class.
I know, I can tell.
I paid attention.
All right, so what are we trying to accomplish in this training tonight? Well, if you have grandchildren and children who've been in school since 9/11, since Columbine, they've been getting this training since they were little kids. And every year they ramp it up a little bit more so that they can tolerate it at the level where they're not too scared. For us adults, I think we see what's happening, right? So we're going to give you 3 approaches to this. And I'm going to use my version from my experience. I'm from the federal government. I was a retired federal agent. I was in Homeland. I had 5 years in the Secret Service. And then I came home for a little bit. And I was in the Camden County Sheriff's Office. I was a fugitive hunter. I was in the high-tech crime task force with the state police. And after 9/11, I went back into the federal government. And I retired as a senior agent. Did 20 years as an air marshal in Philadelphia. So I've been to Israel several times. So my take on this is a little bit different than you might have heard from Sean. All right, so we're going to discuss a total security approach. It says this location. We're going to have to make this for the location that you're at, wherever you are. All right, we're going to discuss situational awareness, about how it applies to your location. So not just the security approach, but the situational awareness that you're going to use too. We're going to discuss active threats, countering the active threats, and then a response to the active threats. And the goal of this training is run, hide, fight. All right. So JFed takes an all threats, all hazards approach to security. That's what we teach at the synagogues. Rabbi has been through this training before. I'm sure you remember how it's not just active shooters. We teach you for weather. We teach you for crime. You can see the other things up here. Fire, medical emergencies, bomb threats, active threats, missing persons. The approach that we teach you covers all these things, not just active shooter. knows the address there without looking at this? Anybody else? Say it real loud.
8,900 Benner Avenue.
Okay, how many people did know the address there? How many people, when you travel places, go ahead and sit down, I'll check. How many people, when you travel places, don't really pay attention to the address they're at? Most people, right? You don't think about it. We try to live life easy. One of the things I want to impart on you is from now on, when you go somewhere, just take a minute and just get to know what the address is. What if you have an emergency, you have to call 911? It's hard to sit there when you're under stress. I think you hear me under stress right now, right? Imagine if you had an active shooter come through and you're shaking and you have no fine motor skills, everything's gross motor, and you're trying to dial 911. It's not easy. They're going to ask you, where are you? It's just going to add another few seconds, few minutes for you to figure out what's going on and come down. So here we are, 8900 Ventnor Avenue in Margate. When we talk about an all hazards approach, we want you guys to start to understand that when you're in your congregations, when you're in your businesses, we want you to start looking at how to layer your security so that it can cover any of those hazards that could pop up. Not just an active shooter, but a fire. What happens if you have to evacuate? Where does everybody go? How do you get in touch with everyone? How do you know who's there so that you know if somebody's missing? It's all things we kind of take for granted, right? The first thing we do is the inner layer. All right, so in this building here, the inner layer would be everything that's inside these walls. So how do you lock your doors? How do you have cameras? How do you operate your cameras? Who has access to the cameras? Do you get on Wi-Fi? Does anybody else have access to the cameras? In case they can't be here. How do you let people in when they want to come in and visit and they're not members? Do you screen them? Do you take their name? Do you have a access card system to come into the building? Do you have ID necklaces or bracelets that somebody wears when they come in so that you know they're supposed to be here? And you put numbers on them so you can just look up a number and see who it is? Or do you just let everybody walk in? The trust system, right? Then you also have to expand your radius out. Okay? So what goes on the block that's not inside the building? What's going on in the parking lot? What's going in the streets that are immediately adjacent and surround this building? Who's parking? Is there anybody checking on cars? Do you guys have security that comes to your building and does the outside and the inside? Protects you inside, but also checks what's going on outside. All right? How many people can say that they don't have that? It's okay to raise your hand. Okay, so cost is a factor, right? And people don't usually do something until something happens. Does everybody remember the church shooting at the school in Minnesota that just happened? All right. They still haven't put all that information out yet. We still don't know all the details of that. But the kid who did that, and I say kid because he was only about 21 years old, he had been a student there within 5 years of that happening, and then he graduated. And he had some kind of beef with it, and with the people inside and with the school. So he came back and he did what he did. They had no security. Had they had people walking around, they would have maybe seen this guy in the parking lot, would have maybe recognized him from before. Maybe he was a child, a little bit of a problem child when he was there when he was younger. But they didn't have anybody that could pay attention to him. So that was a lost opportunity to save lives. And then he was able to walk up to the exterior of the building and start shooting through the windows. Okay? How much protection do they give you? Can you hide if somebody's doing that? All right, then you can expand that a little bit further too. All right, drones, right? Drones are starting to become pretty popular. There's starting to be a big need for them. We saw what happened in Charlie Kirk not too long ago. That could have been prevented if they had a drone in there. All right, drones aren't very expensive to hire somebody to come and fly. It's possible that JFED will have a drone in a couple years. I'm actually a drone pilot. But there are pilots like in this area, if you were doing it for this building, You could just look in the white pages, find somebody who's a drone pilot, find a drone company, and see if you could hire them for big events. They would gladly do it. It's not very expensive. What happens if something happens on the island here? There are synagogues down the road. There's other churches here. There's municipal buildings that could be attacked. Rachel, where's Rachel at? There she is. Do you want to tell them what happened over the summer, or actually over the spring?
Sure. So over early summer, we were tabling on the boardwalk in Ventnor, just saying hi to people and giving out coffee. And a very suspicious person came up to us, and he was holding a briefcase and trying to get close to us. And Tim happened to be on our detail that day, and he ended up finding the person's car, and they had to kind of look into him. And he actually hadn't been somebody that was threatening to us. He had his own mental health challenges, as far as I remember. But it was a scary situation, and in the past, we have not had detail with us when we go out into public places. It was just because of the environment with the anti-Semitism post October 7th. So it was a really big lesson to us that having our people with us to watch was extremely helpful. Did I leave anything out?
Do you remember what we thought he was trying to act like he was trying to do?
He had a big clock. Didn't we think he might have had something in
We
the
thought he was
briefcase?
a suicide bomber.
Yeah.
So I was at the White House for 5 years, and I had a lot of training in suicide bombers. This guy, when I saw him, to me, it looked like the old versions of Batman and Robin, with ridiculously sized clocks and cartoonish type stuff. He started walking up towards the boardwalk while they were preparing coffee for everyone, and he had this clock on a huge black case. And as he's getting closer, we're starting to not like what we're seeing. He's got a large military-style jacket on, which bulky clothing is always a concern for us, right? Especially in the spring. And then in his hand, he had it look like a button. So, just because of his appearance, I didn't take it too seriously while still taking it seriously. So we cut the distance down on him, protected them, and we kept him pretty far away until we got to take a look at what was inside his case, calling vendor PD there, right there. So vendor PD came out and they had to have a talk with him because we're just security now. So we don't have the authority we used to have, which is another concern, right? When you're talking about things happening anywhere else, who's paying attention to that? Who's monitoring the intelligence that's happening at the level that concerns you? The shooting in Minnesota that we were just talking about. Minneapolis used to be one of the best places to live in the country. As a matter of fact, I almost got a son of a field office out there. I was going to be a SAC out there, an S-band out there. So that morning, the morning before, they had a shooting. Late at night, they had a shooting in the same area. And then the morning that this happened, they had a shooting. So they had 3 shootings before this even happened. And I don't know if they even linked that together. Who pays attention to that here if you guys started to have a crime rate? Right? I know we have the prosecutor's office here, right? So
You called me when I was here.
I know. So there's a linkage that has to be formed, right? That has to go all the way out to the area that surrounds you to give you the buffer, to give you the warning, to give you the time. And we're going to just explain that tonight. We're going to explain why it's important. That will change your thinking, so whoever's in control of what happens can start to prepare those things. He can start to reach out. Am I losing anybody yet? All right. So here we are. We zoomed out a little bit. Now let's say something happens. Where does everybody go? How do you escape? Because we're teaching run, hide, fight. Where do you go? Has that ever been considered? Do you ever come in and say, hey, if something was to happen today, where are we all going to meet up? And who knows who's in here, who took a roll call? Usually what happens is you know who your friends are, that you were sitting in your pew with or in your row, and you could go back and when the prosecutor's office or the police are trying to get at the telling what happened, and go, I know I was sitting with her, and I was sitting with her. You won't remember everybody. So how do you solve that problem? Something to work on, right?
We worry about elderly people.
There you go. Now, when we teach run, hide, fight, we're telling you to have reunification points, which means have a place to go where you know that's your reunification point. You get there and people will account for you. All right? Maybe you have a radio system that you can have so people can get to those areas and everybody can be in communication. All right? Phones might be a little bit crazy, especially if there's a shooting. I don't know how the 911 system is here on the island. Usually they can handle stuff like that, but you just never know. But here's Lucy the elephant. Good place to go, right? Place on the beach, right down the road, go right to the beach. You could go right here to any spot a few blocks away. What avenue is that? Winchester Avenue? I'm not from here. All right? Maybe you find a place that everybody can meet up on, like the sidewalk or down the side road. There's a basketball court, tennis court, wherever this building is right here. I just happened to notice in the satellite photo. You put this into a plan, and you write it, and you communicate it to the people in your building, or who come to your parish. You have nights like this where they get training. We would go over that for you. We would say we're unification points. I would actually have it on the PowerPoint for you. But what do you do when you get there? You're looking for injuries, right? You're looking for people who need help. Elderly people may not be able to walk all the way down here, all right? So when the situation is resolved, how do you go back and account for them? Things that you have to have in your safety
We
plan.
just think in terms of, how do you get them out of the building?
There, that's all part of it.
We've got limited, access here.
Mhm.
I'm a former school administrator, and, we went through these drills once a month. But we had many exits and many rooms. So if an active shooter come into one room, you had the ability to get people out of other rooms. Or actually you have a lockdown, and you have to have the police come and let people out.
Right.
But here we have limited, exits in terms of getting out.
So we'll talk about what happens in the period of time between the emergency that happens, the event that happens, and by the time you get to call 911, and by the time the police get to respond. There is a lag in it. So we'll talk about these things. All right, does everybody follow this so far? Does everybody understand what we're talking about here? All right, so we're talking about the layered security plan. We'll go back a little bit and we'll talk about the things that you need in your layered security. So you need cameras. Do you have, not that you want to give away your security apparatus, but do you have enough cameras here?
No.
So you can apply for grants.
Zero.
You can apply for grants. JFed Security can come out and do your assessment. There's other companies that can do it. And you can apply for federal grants. They come out once a year. And the state grants also, they have state grants available, a little less money, but you can get both of them. And we've had some success with getting max funds for people, which I think one year, I did the assessment for Colomie and Cherry Hill. They got over 140,000. So
We, in the 23 grant year, we got 150,000.
nice. State and federal.
We're through the SAAs, ANSGP.
Okay. Very good. See, money's out there. All right. So cameras, interior and exteriors. Your security officers can also come through the grant. But you don't want to rely on a grant for security because that money can run out. So you also want to figure out different ways to pay it. Donors, collections. There's other ways to do this, but it's very important to have armed security, especially in religious institutions. I think that goes without me even having to explain it, right? We talked about access cards, proximity cards. So you want to limit your access to the building somehow. The guards can handle the doors for you. That's part of our job. But you might also want electronic systems, especially for people who frequent, like there are administrative people, teachers that come in and do things, clergy. You want them to be able to come in too and then be secure, where they can just swipe and get in the building or push a pin. Your manual access systems, like somebody's in an office, they can push a button and let somebody in, old-fashioned, right? And then electronic access is you could call the pastor at home. And she can look on her camera, say, okay, I'll let you in. And she can also check around the building before she lets in to make sure you're safe. So having all these options available. So let's go back to situational awareness. And you had your personal definition of it, which was 100% correct. And for you, other people's situational awareness, they may perceive it a little different. I'm going to teach you the way I would want you to do situational awareness. Excuse me. All right, so the textbook definition, is the perception of environmental elements and events with respect to time or space. A little complicated, right? The comprehension of their meaning and the projection of their future status. So what the textbook is trying to teach you is what's in your environment, people and things that are happening. What's happening as far as whether they're close to you or far away, and are they moving away or coming closer? And then what do you perceive is going to happen if they continue with the direction they're going, or if things go the way they are? So Sean's actual definition, this is Sean's, okay? Always knowing what's going on around you, he simplifies it. Recognizing potential hazards around you, considering how to respond, be attuned to the environment and aware of your surroundings, so he's covering everything they're talking about, and being able to focus and react, which wasn't in that original one, but that comes from Sean's experience as a lieutenant and a SWAT team member for Cherry Hill PD. All right, so situational awareness, it is a security skill, but it's not just a security skill. You use it in all of your life events, everything around you. So, not just the houses of worship, but when you're driving a car, when you're dining out, when you're at the movies, when you're at work, when you're at schools, when you're home, when you go to public gatherings, you go to the Phillies game, Eagles game. Right now, I want to have a lot of situational awareness at the Eagles games because people are frustrated, right? They're in their houses. So, everybody's following me, right? All right. So where are you in a building? Let's say, where are you in here? Some of you have never been here before, I would imagine, right? Where are you right now? Does anybody who's not been here know where they are right now? What's this really called? What do they call it?
Sanctuary.
Sanctuary. Okay. So where do you go if an active shooter happens right now? Where are we going?
At exit.
Okay. So we were talking about exits before, down here.
Depends where the shooter is.
We're getting different ideas, right? So the purpose of our training is run, hide, fight. And you'll start to understand why I teach situational awareness a little bit different. So your options that you have in common sense, run, hide, or fight. Coming from that door, that window, what are you doing?
Down on the floor.
Your first move would be, let me make it as safe as I can for right now, right? So you're going to try to hide and take shelter first, all right? Shooter's moving. Open the windows. Windows are breaking. Where are you going? Okay.
I'm going to try to make it to that.
Opposite
choir.
direction of the
Okay, so where are you going?
Out that door. To
You're going out that door?
Yeah, to the
Shooter's on this side of the building?
That door
The
doesn't.
back door, there's a door outside.
Okay. Where's the shooter though?
Yeah, but the shooter's on that side, so we're gonna go through the door over here.
Well, you could go over this
Hallway.
door.
So the problem with situational awareness, in order to do run, hide, fight really well, you have to be good at situational awareness. And when you're in a panic, situational awareness is very hard. So what was your definition again? So,
You just have to be aware. I've been through this with a couple of times, and what you put up there is really important because, like, when I go to shop right now, Mike Olstermore taught us, don't park next to a truck because you can't see. So I never park next to a truck anymore. I park further down the end of the aisle so that no one's around me. And that's what a couple of these things have taught me, is to be totally aware of what's around me.
it takes a willpower, right? It takes a subconscious effort. Just
Yeah,
like
it
that.
does.
I actually think women are really good at situations.
I think so too. I think
Because
it
we
is
are
best for
constantly having to be aware of what's around us. Like if we go to the airport and we're alone, and we go to a parking garage, we have to worry what's around us. If we get into an elevator, we have to worry what's around us.
Right.
So honestly, unfortunately, I think we're kind of
I
good
think you are
at being
too.
aware of us.
Most men just want to chill, right? They just want to
parking next to
Paul, this stuff happens. You gotta be the muscle, right?
That's a kidnapping situation. The trunk next to you, you have to be careful. There could be somebody there just waiting for a single woman.
That's right.
I'm gonna give you a side tangent. The one thing that is hurting everybody's situational awareness in our country is the cell phone.
Yeah.
Everybody's noses are down in it, they're so connected to it
Yep.
that they're not doing what they need to do every few minutes. And we'll talk about the levels of situational awareness and why it's important. And I think we'll get a different appreciation of this. Okay? All right, so JFED likes to teach, try and have, if it's available, 3 ways out, and then 3 ways to move on past that once you're out. So you came in here, you did your assessment the JFED way. Which ones are available to you? What do you have available to you right now, sitting right here, as you come in before it starts?
That exit, or that exit.
So you got 3 here. What about back here?
2.
2.
Okay. Is that an exit right there?
Yes.
That's an exit out there?
Yes.
Okay. So you have more than 3 ways out here. But then you have to figure out what to do once you're outside too, because it just doesn't stop. The threat started out outside, right? So you kind of want to get to the other side of the building, at least, but the threat can move around.
Right.
So you have to be situationally aware and pay attention to this. So running isn't always, even though it's the thing we want you to do the most, because it's the most important to get time and space, you can't always do it right away. All right, so then you have to do the other 2 options. Let's say you're sitting here and the past there is someone else, but you pull the weapon out and she starts threatening everybody. You have a different situation now, right?
Yeah.
What do you have available to you?
Prelats. What do I have to do?
Yeah, what do you got?
I don't know.
Men always get this one.
Yeah. Go after the person with the gun.
Yep. You sit there and let them dominate you, or do you realize that there's all you here and do something about that? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's say you are moving. Now, we never teach 2-person assault because it's rare. It almost never happens. And you know why? Because it's hard to follow somebody else's crazy. Right? Somebody gets a bad idea, you might agree with them for a while,
Right.
but then when they're going to do it, it's like, whoa, dude, I thought you were joking. Right? Happens all the time. People don't catch the emotional leakage that comes out of people because they're friends with them, or because they love them, or because they're so close to them and they work with them. They don't understand that that person is degrading and all the signs are there. And law enforcement has a really hard time finding these signs beforehand because people need to express that. We only figure it out afterwards. When you're like, you know what, I knew something was wrong with her for a while. She was acting funny when she was giving the speeches on her. Right? I thought I saw a shotgun above that. Right? There's things we don't catch. Right? Not to joke about it, but we don't. We're not programmed for it. It's something we have to stop doing. Right? We have to start paying attention to everybody around us and not shoot everybody at their spots. Right? Because emotional leakage really does, when you really look at it, the signs are so obvious, you figure it out later. We have to start trying to figure it out early. Okay? All right. So this makes sense to everybody, right? So I can move on. Here's me now. This is the Tim Story situational awareness. 5 years in the U.S. Secret Service at the White House with President Clinton. 20 years as an air marshal going overseas looking for Al-Qaeda after 9/11. I went back in because of what happened, and the Secret Service really was running the air marshals at the time. They kind of asked us to come out. If we weren't in the government anymore, they asked us to come. There were 200,000 people put in. It was us that they selected. All right? So there's 5 levels of situational awareness that I teach. You know the Cooper color codes? Starts with white. Whoever does firearms training knows the Cooper color codes. If you don't, that's okay. I'm just trying to make a point because a lot of people say, well, the Cooper color codes, this doesn't match them. This is a different way of learning things. If you look at Homeland Security, their threat awareness system overseas, it's like traffic lights, right? Red goes in progression, right? They want you to understand it with something that relates to you. I'm trying to do the same thing. So 5 levels of situational awareness. The easiest level is tuned out. Right? When you wake up in the morning, you're tuned out. You're on vacation, you're trying to be tuned out. That's why you're on vacation. Nothing wrong with that, sort of. Right? You're unaware of your surroundings, you're distracted, and your mind is definitely elsewhere. Okay? Now, Cooper color codes, that would be white. I left a little bit of white in there. And I don't want you to ever be in white when you're involved in something like this, when you're coming to your congregation, when you're in all the places we discussed earlier, Eagles games, get out of that way. Don't even be there. As soon as you know you're going, start focusing, right? There could be beer, there could be fights, there could be a lot going on. The next level is relaxed awareness. Now you're starting to get a little bit of situational awareness. You may be aware of the people and the things around you, but you might still be on your phone. Oh, I gotta pay attention. Yeah. Oh, what just happened? Like, did you ever, no, we're not supposed to be driving on our phones, but we all do it, right? You're texting, you're answering a text, you think it's your kids, and you look up, and the cars are a lot closer than they were before, and you're drinking over the line. You can't do these things. You can't do so many things at once. In order to have situational awareness, you have to be dedicated to it. Willpower, I talked about that before. If you're busy with something else, you're losing your situational awareness. Focused awareness. No direct threat, but entering a space or environment that presents potential danger. Sean loves these pictures. They're actually pretty good. So there's tuned out, guys on his phone, he's got headphones on, right? Relaxed awareness, she's just walking down the street. She's probably going to get a coffee. Focused awareness, driving a car, and you see the brake lights coming on in front of you, all right? Now we're going to high alert. Active threat or a dangerous situation where the environmental threat is close by, right? Think about all the pictures and the layer that I have up there. Is it far away? Is it the other end of the island? Did it involve a synagogue or a church? Or is it much closer? The end of the block? Is it on the sidewalk right here? Is it at our front door? Or is it sitting inside? And then what we don't want you to ever get to is paralysis. So the two ends of the spectrum, we don't want you in the black end and the white end. In the paralysis one, there are situations that are outside of your normal experience. You don't have any idea how you're going to handle it. And it's way out of your comfort zone, and you freeze up. Who's been there before? Right? You don't know what to do for a few seconds. If you had an active shooter come in, it's going to be a lot more than a couple seconds. You may not be able to move at all. You might be the deer in the headlights. Just this training will keep you from that. Will keep you from having that happen to you because you'll think about this. OODA loop. Who knows what OODA loop is? You want to try it? Anybody? Anybody military?
Orient, decide, and act.
Pretty good, yeah. So it's observe, orient, decide, and act. It's 4 things. All right, it's an acronym. And here it is right here. It's a simple diagram. Okay? Observe, orient, decide, and act. Everybody has a thought process. I had a thought process the day that the guy was walking up on the sidewalk. My OODA loop training said I had to cut the distance down in case he had a bomb on him. So I was kind of sacrificing myself. We let him get too close. You should never go on the sidewalk or up on the boardwalk. We should have picked him up beforehand. But there was 2 of us, and there was a lot of people that were watching because they were serving coffee. So the guy got up on the boardwalk. So he was about 100 feet away when I approached him. Still not a safe distance, but close enough where they would have been okay. So we're talking about an OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. It's a spin cycle. Everybody has a thought process. When you got in trouble as a kid, you tried to think about how you were going to lie to your parents and get out of it. Right? You didn't realize it, but you were in a thought process. OODA loop is a weaponized thought process. In fact, it was invented by an Air Force colonel during the Korean War. Guys who were in the airplanes knew that we used to dogfight pretty good, right? World War II, our guys were shooting planes at us all the time. As soon as they started having missiles, our guys got lazy, they lost their dogfighting skills. So Colonel Boyd, who was a pilot, tried to figure out a better way to help the pilots get back into their dogfighting skills. And what he invented was the OODA loop that is used in a lot of professions, teaching, firefighting, police work, military. When you're in a competitive situation, the Eagles, their OODA loop isn't spinning too good right now. Right? Something's wrong. Andy Reid used to talk about the OODA loop to the Eagles when he was coach, and he used to give them war stories to help them understand it. But this is a weaponized system, and I'm teaching you this because you need to weaponize your thought process. You're in a competitive situation, you're fighting for your life. And you can use this in other things. Like when your kids are arguing with you, you'll get an advantage on them right away. So there's 2 parts to the OODA loop. The observe and orient part on this side of the red line, and the decide and act part on the other side. And when you're in a thought process like this, You can have several OODA loops in a second. It depends on how much knowledge, skill, and ability you have, how much training you've had, how much experience you've had with something. You can OODA loop really quick. Okay? When I started out giving this, I don't know you guys, I was a little nervous, all right? I'm starting to get more comfortable. My OODA loop's starting to spin a little faster. The information's coming clearer to me now. The observe and orient part is the part that most people get stuck on. Okay? Observe is your five senses. What you hear, what you see, what you smell. Your orient side is how you take that information and decipher it in a way that makes sense to you. Your training, what you're having right now, we're building your orient. You already have the skills. You gave me a good definition of situational awareness, but you didn't know you could weaponize it. You're learning now. So you'll be able to take those skills and put them into some context so that you can make a decision, and then you can act on it and move on to your next loop. Why do you have to keep OODA looping? The information you first get in an attack is not going to make a lot of sense. You're going to be a little confused. You'll understand some of it, but the information isn't perfect. Does everybody understand what I'm saying there? As you keep working through it and making better and better decisions, the information will become a lot clearer to you. And your decisions will be faster and more accurate, and you'll help yourself with more people. And you'll get yourself to safety. OODA loop starts when you first come in. Like, say you're coming in for a mass, or you're having anything that you're doing, all right? We'll say you're just coming to church or you're coming to synagogue. It starts at home. You know that there's some threats out there right now, so you know you got to start paying attention. You're not going to be in the white. You want to be right there on focused awareness. That's why the bullseye's there. We want you to live that. From the time you know you got to come into something like this, to the time you go home, knowing that you may on the drive in, as you're parking, see a threat in the parking lot. Imagine if a lot of those people that day at that religious school in Minnesota were locked in and were focused and saw the kid pull the rifle out of his trunk. Because he drove there. He actually parked in the parking lot. If you go back and you look at that, by the way, those kids walked from their school to the church. It was posted on the website. Every day they have that happens. Like whatever day they go there, it's posted there on the calendar that people can see that and know that, hey, I went to that school like he did. I know they're going to walk outside. Imagine if he got there a little earlier. Right? There were several hundred kids out that day. Thank God they were inside. Right? All right, so your five senses, your training, your experience, you move on, you make your decision, and you act. Am I losing anybody yet? Okay, good. So let's talk about this side first, the observant orient side. All that is information around you, activity around you, and stimulus. Right? I don't want to make this too complex, but that's what it is. It's a scientific thing that this is. Based on that information, you get an idea of what's happening, and you just try and get to an act. Oh my God, somebody's shooting outside. Let's go, come on, let's go. Can you get everybody motivated? There's going to be people who don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do things. You have to become a leader. It's part of the survival, right? It's part of the winning the competition. Everybody follow me, go. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. Okay? Some people are going to be wounded. So elderly won't have to hold the road. Nobody wants to leave anybody behind, but you have to start dealing with the fear of what happens in the situation. All right? I'm not trying to scare anybody, I'm just trying to get us there. All right, so the back end of this is just about your response, how you evaluate it, whether you deny, defend, or defeat the threat. Okay, that's your run-hide fight. And then you speed up to your next loop. So I hope I didn't lose anybody on this. So let's talk about active threat, active shooter. Do you guys have radios there?
No.
Do you have any kind of system where you can push a panic button or notify somebody? Don't tell anybody where it is. Just yeah. All right. So they have a way to hit a panic button. So that starts an emergency response. That starts the police coming. Who's got an iPhone? Who knows how to activate 911 without dialing 911 on the phone? How many times?
Just once.
You have no idea?
No, I don't.
Who's got their iPhone on? All right. Now, this should work for all phones, okay? It should also work for the Android phones. So, the two buttons she's talking about, go to the volume button on the bottom and the power button. When you push them 5 times really fast, you get, oops, that's the muscle there. All right, so you get the word.
On my phone, I hold it in and not do 5 times, and I know that works.
You can do that too.
because
You
I
can
got
just
caught.
All right, I got it. So the wrong button, it's the top button.
So I get the top button on my left-hand side and my,
There you
on
go.
the other side, 2 buttons together,
Okay.
pressing both, that's what I get.
You said, you actually said how you want that to work. I just forgot it was the top one.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you get to the gross motor skill screen, okay, where you're not actually having to like, because you're running, you're like, you just swipe it and you're on the phone. All right? Now, when you call 911 and the dispatcher answers, all right, you're going to be in a panic. And they're trained, okay? They're trained to understand. They'll try and calm you down. But if you say to them, you can't talk, shooter's actually in the next room. They'll just listen. They're trained to not say anything and give you a light. All right? So you tell them what's going on. If you can, give me a second. I'll go down the hall. When I get clear, I'll fill you in what's happening. Then you have to explain to them. You never hang up. Try and free your hands, especially if you're dealing with people. You put it in your shirt, they'll rock, put it in your rock, get a hat, put it on your head. I would wear a hat, go bowling, right? So you just put it right under there. We put it up your sleeve, but keep it so that you can talk. When they can talk, tell them, do you have anything you need to say to me? You can talk now, I'm clear. All right? They may ask you, who are you with? They may start writing names down. Okay? You tell them, on my way out, I saw 3 people wounded. I know who they are. Here's their names. Explain where they are. Everything you're doing, your OODA loop is speeding up so that, and don't forget, you also have to tell them where the shooter is. All right? If you come in the front door, off of the street is this out here? You come off of Ventnor in the front door, right now the shooter is up in the altar, or he's up on the beam. Okay? Give them the information that you can. Help them out. The quicker the police can get in and go to the threat, the quicker they can neutralize it, and then go help those people you passed in the hallway. All right? You have to let those people go. You have to save yourself from other people who are ambulatory. Hard thing to think about. If they can get up and move, and they're up and they're going, you can help them. But if they're laying there, you can't. You have to pass it by. You have to try to save as many people as you can, including yourself. When you fly on an airplane, oxygen mask drops. What are you supposed to do first?
Take care of yourself.
So you can help other people, right? Same principle. Get the police there as fast as you can to where they need to go. All right.
I have a quick
Yeah,
question
go ahead.
about the phones. So when you do that emergency call on iPhone, will it automatically geolocate you to?
It should, but they're still going to ask you what address you're at.
Okay.
You don't know what kind of interference you have, especially down the shore. I've been on the beach and I've lost signal on my phone. So some of those things may not work right. So always know where you are so you can tell them. Oh, another thing you can do, when you go to your map function on your phone, and this should work on Android too. It gives you like headlights on the back, right? That's just a compass. It actually points to where the front of your phone is. So if you're disoriented and you don't know where you are, you can look at this and aim it. Like, I need to get out the door. I remember Ventnor having it. Oh, there it is. I can go out that door. That's Ventnor having it. All right. You play with it on your phone. It's a tool for you. You can use it under stress. It's a lot easier. You want to keep your ringer down. It's common sense, right? Something happens. There's a dangerous person in the building. Turn your ringer off. That's one of the things you have to do. Usually you can just keep the button pressed and it'll mute it for you. Color, contrast, movement, and sound is what gives you away in a dangerous situation. All right, let's move on from this. Any questions? All right, so there's a lot of statistics on it. Go ahead, sorry.
Could you speak a little louder?
Absolutely.
Losing some of your words.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank
Absolutely, I can speak loud. So the FBI loves statistics. They love smart people working there. Bill DeCola, who's in JFED with me, I'm Secret Service, he's FBI, and we go at it all the time. We have a hockey program, Secret Service is going to whoop on them, I let him know. But then he tells me about statistics. So, since 2018, and these don't get updated very frequently, usually they're a year or two behind when the FBI puts them out. But one thing you're going to notice is that these events are climbing. Okay? Why is that? Some years they drop a little bit, but basically if you put them on a scale, it's always going up. It has a mean average that goes up. So there's a lot of copycats. These people are mentally ill. The emotional leakage, they read the emotional leakage from other people that they agree with. So they have websites they go to. They'll start studying Mein Kampf and all this other stuff, right? They get some really weird ideas, and the stuff just keeps propagating, and social media is making it worse. So the lunatics are growing. We won't be able to stop them. No, we can't stop them. There's no way. We haven't invented a machine that can read people's minds. But like I said, the emotional leakage part, pay attention to it. You start to see things. If a guy keeps coming to this door every Sunday and wants to hassle you for a mess, you don't really want to be his friend and try to help him. You want to let the police know about it. Let them try and deal with it, because it can escalate. Right? Especially if he's spouting anti-Semitic things or anything else. All right, signs of suspicious behavior. So remember when you were a kid and you did something wrong, and your parents seemed to be able to figure it out. They knew something was up, that's why they kept asking you things. And then as a parent, you figured out why, right? It's because their emotions were giving things away. Their acts, the way they hide things, the way they start doing things that don't fit the pattern that they always did. So suspicious behavior by itself, if it's just one thing, some people just have quirks. I'm moving around a lot, right? So that doesn't make you suspicious, it's just you get a little nervous. It's nervous energy, you're burning it off, right? Some people have that. But when they cluster behaviors together, and it could be more than just this list. When I was as an air marshal, we were training on behavior recognition. That's how we would find suicide bombing. We were always told. They're not scared to do what they want to do. They're scared of failure. Right? Criminals are scared to get caught. Terrorists are scared to fail. They're prepared to die. So when you're dealing with somebody like that, their signs of suspicious behavior are going to be different. All right? So when Al-Qaeda did 9/11, they had some really smart people go around and find new targets. They did it for years. We've taken a lot of those people out, so now they have the C team is out there, right? If you're watching the news, there are threats that are always popping up. It's the C team. Okay? They're going to give more behaviors away. They're trying to impress people. They're just like the active shooters. They're just like the maniacs that are doing this stuff. They're trying to do more than the person before them, and they're trying to impress the other maniacs out there to get them to go ahead and feel compelled to do it themselves. So, pacing, avoiding eye contact, bringing and rubbing hands. Why do people do the things that they do when they're showing these things? Is it nervousness? Okay, failure, fear of failure, fear of getting caught. If you go up and talk to them, we're always told, well, just say hello, the power of hello. Have a greeter at your door. Hi, how you doing, sir? I don't recognize you. Are you coming in for mass today? You coming in for services? The power of hello. But what if that person is delaying answering you? What if they're looking at the ground? What if they're just trying to blow past you and get into the building? You're getting a cluster now, right? And you're starting to pay attention to things. Do you have in your building, in your religious institution, do you have an open door policy? Big Tent Judaism or the Catholic Church, I'm Catholic. You can just walk into a Catholic church, so never locked. You want to light a candle and make a prayer, it's always open to you. What do you do in that situation? Kind of hamstrung a little bit, right? Things you're thinking about now, right? Like, how do we do this? I don't have the answers for it. That's something you have to come up with. What you're willing to leverage between comfort and security. And everybody wants to have balance. But you have to talk
Can
about
I give you a situation?
Absolutely.
About a year ago, we only keep the front door open. Everything else around the building is locked. And one person is really responsible and watches outside and that door, a man came in who looked unkempt and different.
Okay.
And he was late for the service. And he came in the side door over here, not through the main aisle,
Okay.
and sat down. And I saw him from the pulpit, and I know that the man at the door was watching him. What should we have done?
Well, a lot of times the best way to come up with a good answer is to sit down and have meetings, not just afterwards, which we call washing the situation post-wash, but you also want to have your security meetings beforehand. How are we going to handle certain situations? Calling 911 is always your easiest answer. That's actually the best answer. Call the police. Hey, this is what we got. Let them send somebody that's trained in dealing with ABCs this guy all the time. And he knows it's not that much of a threat. Maybe they've warned him, hey, they're not supposed to be here. You want to go to jail? I'll get them out for it. Security officers like us, JFA has a very good security team. We're all former law enforcement. We don't have people who just decided to be security officers and they went out and got a gun. You've all done it, you've all retired. It's a requirement if you retire. So not every security agency is like that. But our guys will handle things like they did when they were police up until the point where they have to have authority. Then we have to get the police involved. If getting the police started right away is always a great idea. So I hope that answers that for
It
you.
does.
Any weird situation, hey, we had this guy come in, can you just send an officer over?
Yeah.
They go about your business. Keep an eye on them, let the officer handle it.
Then he left early. He only stayed for a
He
few
only
minutes.
stayed for a few
And then he got
minutes.
up and walked out toward the service.
If you had cameras, you could have got a picture of them and passed it on to the police.
One thing we do have is, you can see in the back, our services are videoed,
Okay,
so after the fact, that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Find somebody, right?
yeah, just turn it over to the police.
Do we have, Rob, are you in here?
Yeah,
Do we have cameras that would, the camera that would get over to the side over here?
no, we just have the two cameras that you see here in the back, and they're both kind of just faces.
Do they store the data?
Well, we wouldn't have gotten that, the sides where he was.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not comprehensive, the
Yeah.
whole sanctuary.
so we were talking about the porch,
Right.
the land approach, you're gonna have cameras, right? This is where you come up with, you know what? We need this stuff, we have to start working on it. A lot of times, everybody's lucky that nothing's happened,
Yeah.
but these active shooters and these problems, it's like a lottery. And somebody's number comes up every day, and you don't want to win that lottery, but you have no control over it. I've heard people, I've given this training, I'm trying to think, I won't name the synagogue we were at, but it just happened recently, it was up in North Jersey. Sean and I were teaching, and one of the congregants said, nothing's ever going to happen here. We have too much money in our account, it's too nice. And Sean took a minute, I'm the color commentator, okay? And I came out and I said, when we do our walk around, we did a walk around that day, I showed him why that's never going to be true. And that changed his life, all right? Once he realized just how when you look like a target of opportunity, and you don't have a way with Bootaloo to be competitive when you have to fight for your life, you're going to be a victim. And you can stop this stuff early by just pushing the threat somewhere else. Right? Our security teams know if we're locked in and we're doing our job and we look the part, the threat isn't going to want to deal with us unless they want to die, unless they're prepared to die, right? And they'll move on maybe to a weaker target. We don't like that we have to do that, but that's what we have to do. All right. Everybody understands clusters of behavior, right? So you don't want to pick on a person for one thing, it's clusters. Right? That's when you want to take the chance to go up and talk to them. But remember, if the person's clusters look like they're dangerous, like it's violence, don't get involved in it. Call the police. You don't have to talk to them. Just keep everybody else away from them. Call the police. All right. When you call 911, it's never going to be the minute that the shots are fired, or the person's stabbing, or the fire starts. It's going to be when you get to a position where you feel comfortable and, oh, I forgot to call. I got to call. Whose responsibility is it to call 911? Beautiful. You've had the training. Everybody's training. I've been in places and taught where it's not Jewish or Catholic or Presbyterian. It's the leader, the religious leader, liked to take control of everything and wanted everybody to put everything through them. And we told them in front of everybody, stop doing that. It's everybody's responsibility. If you want to filter things and you have an imperfect experience or education or knowledge, you're not going to make the right decision. Call the professionals, call the police to come in. Always. Okay? All right, it takes a minimum of 3 to 5 minutes. These are from FBI statistics. This is taught to everybody who does what they know as alert training. They teach them the national average, it's not changing, is 3 to 5 minutes. Down here in the winter, it might be slower. There's less officers on duty. Okay? In the summer, they have their SLEOs. Their response is going to be much faster. When we're in Cherry Hill, there's so many cops on duty at one time, our response time is probably down to a minute and a half. But you still have time between when the dangerous event happens and the cavalry comes to rescue you. All right? So run, hide, fight. You got to figure out, using your OOLU, the shooter's there, or the shooter's there, or the shooter's here. Determines whether you run, hide, or fight. It's a decision you have to make quickly. So you have to have that thought process. Everybody understands why we're doing this training, right? All right, 3 to 5 minutes to survive. You have to figure out what to do during that time, and you don't know how long it's going to take. There might be 3 officers on a fatal accident down the street, and they're not listening to the radios because they're prying somebody out. They got the jaws of life going. Maybe they can't hear. There's a lot of things that can happen that can slow this down. All right? What do you do to survive? You have barricade doors. You got to have locks on your doors. I'm going to stop for 1 minute. I don't like the run, hide, fight decals that they put out. I don't think hiding under a table like that, if you look at things literally, I don't think that that's very safe, right? They're trying to change it, you know this. Yeah, there you go. But this is what they came up with, because they want you to get the idea simply. You only have 3 choices, and it's common sense. All right. Everybody can read this, and they pretty much understand it. It sounds like everything you've heard in your life, right? Do you take your valuables with you in an emergency? You'll get them later. Just leave them behind you go. All right? Get out, run is always the primary. It's time and distance away from the threat. Get yourself some extra time, get yourself some extra distance. If you can, remember that if you're hiding or fighting, you're going to run as soon as you can. And you're going to get that distance back once the opportunity opens up. Everybody's responsibility to call 911, do it as soon as you can, stay on the phone. Doesn't matter if all of you call 911, they should have enough infrastructure after 9/11 built up that they can handle everybody's call. All right. Bill DeCola, who teaches this with me, always said, is there a wrong way to handle a run, hide, fight? Does it really matter? Everybody's going to have a different take on it. Is there really a wrong way to do it? Bill's answer to that is doing nothing. It's the only wrong thing. Do something. Okay? All right, we talked about reunification points. I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit so I won't go through it. Just get yourselves to a place that's prearranged so everybody knows where to look. Hey, we're going to Lucy if you can, but you can also go to whatever street that was, Winchester or Westchester. Just go a couple blocks up and wait, and we'll find you. Call 911, tell them where you are, tell them your reunification point. People should be coming to you. Maybe the police will start sending the ambulances to those locations to help treat the wounded, right? You're actually saving people's lives by having this stuff in place. And you're directing the police response where it can be most effective, most efficient. Instead of them just responding wherever, and then the incident commander comes eventually, it could be 10, 15, 20 minutes later, and says, all right, we need to set up something here, we need to set up something here. But if you already have ambulances going to your reunification points, you're going to speed that up. Also, the prosecutor's office and the police, have them come into your buildings to do things. When you when you build your security teams up, and you're talking about this stuff, and you're taking this information back to wherever you're coming from, have them come in and do walkthroughs, get to know things. Tell them where your reunification points are. Hand them your safety, your manuals, right? The things that you have on your walls. Let them take some of that information with them. They'll create binders in the station that when there's an incident, somebody in the station will know, hey, we got this book, we'll open it up. Hey, this is where they said their reunification points are. This is where they'll exit. This is the phone numbers to call the clergy, or to call anybody who can get us answers quickly, because we need to move fast on this, right? Our OODA loop needs to be quick. So we're going back over this again. People who are as ambulatory, that's a separate, they have a separate responsibility to figure out what they can do for themselves. Maybe you know this, I got so-and-so comes in a wheelchair every week. Let me have your phone number, and here's mine. And if something ever was to happen, we're going to call each other as soon as we can, so I can get you extra help quick. Right? And it could be other members. It could be the safety team. Rabbi, do you guys have enough people that ever have a safety team built up yet? Like in the summer, I know you have everybody, but in the winter, you don't have anyone.
So we have some, when we have an advertised event, one of you guys is at the door.
Okay. But a safety team being clergy members, where they're actually a part of what goes on inside. They're more leader, they take a more leader role. Like, hey, I'm going to count for people.
We haven't rehearsed that.
Not everybody has it. Some places do. All right, safe rooms. So, is there any safe rooms in here you could get into if you just had to hide? Other than exits where it's just a place you can lock yourself in?
Upstairs.
Upstairs, the second floor, there's classrooms.
And there's steps under there somewhere.
With doors in the hallway that can be closed and secured.
Okay.
There's options, but there's nothing designated.
That's where I'm going with. We're actually going with that. Do you have enough stuff that you can use your barricade?
Right.
So let's go over something real quick.
Yeah,
The hallway.
there's just school, because we have
Doors
areas.
open one of two ways. They open in or they open out. The easiest door to barricade is one that opens in. Okay? The door that opens out, tie it down somehow. You have to tie the handle down and fasten it to something in the room. Where you have to come up with devices to secure those doors. That's something that you always want to consider in the place that you work at or that you worship in. Make sure that they're starting to make safe areas, safe rooms, that you can secure yourself in that area, and then you have enough things that you can barricade a door.
We have fire doors, what about those?
Fire doors are great. They're great.
They can be locked.
They can be locked down. In an emergency, if you have to survive, you have to talk to the township to get the codes cleared, but you're only using it for a safe room. So maybe there's a second door you have to build behind it, or there's another device you have to put in place. Build them out. They'll tell you the one that you can use to meet your code. Because I wouldn't know what the code is here. But I know that you can secure a door, any door, especially under a threat.
For people in my church, don't head to the chapel because the gate is locked, double locked, and you can't get out the gate. You are stuck when you're in the chapel, so don't head there.
So, safe rooms, right? You see tables coming up. Is there a way you could do this in here? Could you take enough stuff in here and barricade doors? What type of doors do you have? Something to think about before you sit down. How would I protect myself?
The chair from the back. Yeah, that's.
You don't have much, right? So you have a little bit of vulnerability, but you do have things you could use as weapons.
That's only a Christmas.
Hey,
Only to celebrate.
That's only a little 20 minutes.
does Jesus or Moses care?
You know, when we had the threat level TBA assessment, what they told us is we have pews like this. They had me station chairs, like from the social hall, around the
To use it in
sanctuary,
emergency?
because you can throw them at something.
There you go. Thinking ahead. There's
I mean,
nothing
it's a
wrong with
pretty
that.
simple solution, but something you can throw at somebody.
So the best thing to do is put somebody in charge of that without making fanfare with everyone else, because people will be like, why? Because people don't like that. Just don't let them know. It's there if they need it, right? All right, so tables definitely work. You want to create a huge amount of tables. Think about a bad guy trying to get through this door right now. Is he going to even bother once he gets in there, or once he's trying to shove it open and he can't get in because it's only moving this far because there's 300 pounds of chairs behind it? What about something like that? Are you just going to move on? Right? Not too long ago, Somebody actually had to do this, and it was on the news. Does everybody remember what happened in New York in the summer, this summer?
Park Avenue.
Park Avenue. That's the actual photo from Park Avenue. There's the date. The shooter moved on. He got frustrated and said, nope. Why do they move on? Because they're trying to get a body count. They don't have time to sit there. They know the police are coming, and they know they're probably going to die. Either they're going to shoot themselves or the police are going to get them, or an armed citizen is going to get them, right? They have very little time and very little ammo, and they're not going to waste it on this stuff. They're not going to waste it on locked doors. The fire doors, if you can get them locked, they're solid structures. They're not breaking through those, right? This is all part of your OODA loop. Run, hide, fight. I have to hide. This is what we're going to do. I'm ahead. I'm on to my next loop. Now I'm looking for weapons. I'm calling 911. We're strategically placing people in the room in case he does get in or she gets in. We're turning lights off. Somebody's taking lead. Shh, turn your phones off. You don't need them. Turn them off. Turn the lights off. Hey, get rid of that pager if somebody has a pager, right? If there's a toy that's on the kid, turn it off. You have time to do that because you're OODA looping. But that's the actual picture from that. All right? If somebody does get in, when you hide, you have to assume you may end up having to fight. So hiding comes along with the caveat that you also have to prepare to fight. So if we're barricading this room, all of us just became the 300, right? We're ready. You can swing it, you can poke it. Things that are longer, you can poke people with, they're great for taking out shooters. Let me just go to caveat real quick.
Flame holes.
Long guns are terrible for buildings. Pistols are better. But they all take long guns because they're scary, right? But it's hard to maneuver a long gun through short hallways, narrow hallways. It's hard to come around a door without sticking the barrel out or somebody can grab it because we're training you to grab the weapon first. Don't worry about the person. Get the weapon, get it on the ground, put your weight on it. Remember that training, Rabbi? Stand on it, stand on the gun, right? And then you can attack the person like you're mad at your kids, like you always wanted to do, but you can't. The prosecutor's office will get you, right? And now they won't. So it's everything you have in a fight, everything. And everybody has to do it. It's something you have to get in your head, right? It's part of the OODA loop. I had an older woman, she was probably 83. She was real small, she was probably like 4'9". She said to me, look at me, how can I fight? I said, you do what you have to do, right? With as many people as you have around you. It's great to hide in a group. Hide by yourself, you can kind of, you're on your own. Hide in a group. You have your OODA loop training, somebody's taking charge. Shh, you against the door with one of these poles. You grab the fire hydrant against the other door. As soon as he comes in, you're attacking him, we're all going, we're going for his gun. And then we're going after him. All right? They train you, JFED wants you to know it could last up to 120 seconds. Could go longer, right? Could go shorter. All right, so this is just a summary, we're almost done. I'm sure everybody's going to be cheering soon. What are the 3 things we're teaching you?
Run, hide, fight.
What's the most primary one?
Run.
Why?
Moving towards.
Distance and time. Get yourself away from that person. A pistol's not real accurate at a certain range, right? And a rifle, you got to run even further. Okay? Get your distance. If you can't run, you hide. And if you hide, what you have to assume you may also have to do. All right. I think you guys pass. All right, having a plan matters, something you want to work on, take this training back to wherever you're coming from. Have the executive director or whoever's responsible, make sure they have an emergency action plan. And make sure people know where it is, and make sure they go over it once in a while, and do some training scenarios, do some drills. Once in a while, have us come. We'll train you.
I have a question about
Go ahead.
the emergency plan.
Yep.
If we were to have something in writing, how do we disseminate that to the members? Like, do we
In-house.
email it? Do we hand it out?
Do not put your emergency plan out in the public domain.
So I guess how, like, the service,
People
there's a
come in like
gray area for
this. If
facilities.
this was the physical walkthrough day, like we did with the rabbi, he could have taken the time to pull it out and gone over it, but his congregation already knows all this stuff, because he's on top of it. We've seen places that aren't. But that's what you cover. Maybe during a mass or during a service, you take 5 minutes and you say, we're going to go over an emergency operations plan because JFed just came in and trained us and said this will save lives. So for 5 minutes, this is what we're going to do, and then we're going to go about our own business. All right? Any questions? Anyone?
You have a card?
I do not have one. I give you my email.
What was the app you were talking about with the compass? Did you say it was a compass?
It's on your map. So if you have an iPhone, it's on your Apple map. If you have an Android phone, it's on whatever map they give you there. And you'll see it. You'll see the locator dot, which is you, and then you'll see it has like headlights on it. And if you rotate your phone, even indoors, it's like a pair of headlights. It points to where your phone is pointing.
So it's on your maps.
Yep.
We have had some JFed training, and we also have an armed guard service, and we've had training with them. One of the things that had been suggested to us, as you just did, that we begin every service with just a short where are the exits and that kind of thing. We also are putting together our emergency plan small on our pews, on our back of our chairs, in our prayer books. So we're a seasonal community. We get 10 people to come to a training, but then in the summer we have 40 people in our services. They haven't had the training. So they open their prayer book and we have
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, is it something you can do in your revision where maybe, like you would have on the wall, maybe you just post something every few on the back of the pews? Something small,
It
something.
just says where the exits are, where our meeting place is.
There you go. All right, so I'm done, Rachel.
I have two questions.
Sure.
First, we have some people here from campus who have a campus security team, but I would assume most of the time they're not visible where you are when you're forward facing with students. I could be wrong. Is there anything that they should know that's different? And then also I would like to toss to the prosecutor's office for you to tell us if there's anything locally through our county that services you offer, things you could come out and do. You can think about that for a minute. We'll answer the Stockton question.
Our doors lock. If it's a lockdown protocol, then all of the classroom doors will automatically lock. You get out, they can't get in. And if they ask, which I've been through many of the different trainings, before we go to what to do, type of things, but they do lock. The keys keep the kids in.
So
We just had a
all,
situation.
whatever system you have in place, I can tell you, way back in 1995 when I was at the White House, we can't talk about security, but I can tell you it's always changing.
Yeah.
Always changing, because the threats change. As long as you teach the people who need to know, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as they understand how it works. And then they OODA loop, because they're in a competition for their life, they figure out how to use those tools to their advantage. So, something I'll say real quick. You're not the only one with an OODA loop. The bad guy or girl has an OODA loop too. And your goal by speeding yours up is to distract them enough. And I'll take a tangent here. Does anybody know what Mike Tyson used to say was the greatest thing ever law enforcement?
Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the nose.
Say it again.
Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the nose.
Beautiful. He's only the second person that's ever known that.
So did Richard.
I've had a few plans in my day.
So, if you don't know what that means, it doesn't matter how much planning you do. If the bad guy's OODA loop spins faster and he's much more prepared, he's going to punch you in the face. And it's going to be a fight to get out of it, to get his OODA loop distracted. How do you distract the bad guy's OODA loop? Well, by pre-planning and doing this training, you've already taken half of his or her OODA loop away. because they're going to get defeated quicker. They don't know what's going on inside here. And they have no idea what we're walking into when you're prepared with leaders and you already have plans in place. You're pushing that threat somewhere else. If they're casing in place, if they're doing study, if they're coming inside, maybe it's an insider threat, maybe it's one of the congregants. Wow, I'm not going to survive this. Security's really locked on, training's great. And it doesn't matter if they sit in the training, because they're actually being told you're not going to win. And you see why, because you have a weaponized thought process.
I'm usually concerned with finding a backpack or a bag or something that's unattended.
Right. The problem with schools is everybody has a backpack.
Right.
So, what did the elementary schools do years ago? They made everybody get a clear one. They're not going to do it in college, right? So, how do you handle it?
I ask everyone if it belongs to anyone in the class, and by the end of my class, if it's still there, no one comes back, I call.
So, if you tell everybody in the room, there's this bag here, whose is it?
Does it just belong to anyone?
Do you evacuate the room?
I have done that once.
Okay.
I did evacuate. And everyone thought I was nuts. I said, sorry, better safe than sorry.
In those statistics I put up, college campuses are getting hit harder than anyone else. And that is one of the reasons why. It is hard to decipher between a threat and a non-threat in college, because a lot of the kids are struggling to pay the bills and they have torn out backpacks that are leaking food in them and wires hanging out of them with all the iPads. They look just like the threats. We used to see it at the White House all the time. And we took everything seriously. Everything had to go in, we had a bomb disposal unit. Everything had to go in, the robot had to pick it up, throw it in, we evacuate it, and took it to Quantico. Because it was not that far from that, right? You have to get that mindset. It's a mindset. It's, like we said before, it's willpower. That's part of that thought process. You change the way you think of things, you change the way you react. You do all the time. You're always in situational awareness.
I don't know how sometimes we think that we're profiling people, and where's the balance of...
So you're not police. If you're uncomfortable and you don't like something, who cares what they think? Save yourself.
I'm not worried what they think, I'm worried how am I being fair to another human being?
It sounds like you are. It sounds like you have the empathy to know that, and you're cautious about it.
You're probably wrong.
I think you're a pit bull inside.
She is.
But you have the empathy, I can tell.
Yeah, no, but I think that's an issue for a lot of people. Is,
Sure.
you
Well,
know,
we're talking about emotional leakage.
profiling.
It's one of the things that affects the ability to detect emotional leakage is that you have empathy. So now you know how to OODA, so now you know how to evaluate something quickly, and if something's not adding up, you know you've got to make a decision and act and go on to another OODA and keep going, keep getting better and better information.
Okay, so I'm using my OODA loop.
Okay.
And I'm observing, and I think I orient myself to the situation, and I need to alert everybody in the congregation.
So how'd you do it?
Fire.
So you want
I
to
would
basically
yell.
say something that gets their attention. Then
Exactly.
you caution you against fire.
Okay.
It creates a panic.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
the wrong kind of panic. All right? But what you can do is, give me an example. Give me a specific example. I'll
Let's
show
just
you.
say I was in the back and I saw
Okay.
someone come in with a gun, and I needed everyone to escape
Where are they sitting?
everywhere.
Is there a policy in place that says no weapons in this facility?
Yes.
Do you know that? So you're going to say yes. All right, so we'll, for argument's sake, we'll say yes. So you know this person just violated that. So,
They would show the weapon as if they were
get around
threatening.
it.
I would orient myself enough to know that that looked dangerous.
All right, so if somebody has a
I'd
weapon,
rather say I'm sorry.
if somebody has any kind of weapon out right now, the best thing to do, gun!
Oh,
He's got a gun! You'll have people that'll fight, and they'll go. And that is the best thing to do. Everybody else that's further away needs to go. Okay? If you're far enough away that you can't get there in 2 seconds, you're on the hide and run stage. The people who are near that gun are in the fight stage. They have no choice. But because you did that, you just started saving lives.
okay.
All right? Now, if it's somebody you think sneaking it in, you don't want to tip them off. So it's like this, hey, we gotta go. I think this guy's gotta go. Go out the door, go out the door, go out the door. Don't say anything, just go. Start to leave them out. All right? Get as many people out as you can before we figure out how to address the threat. And then the people that are going, they just told you, I just told you, he's got a gun. You start calling 911, you let the door, get the cavalry call. All right? Reduce the time, and then the threat has less likelihood to hurt anybody. And we talked about empathy. In that situation, do not care about what happens to that person. Just get everybody out and let the police handle it. Okay?
I've thought about that, Jody, because those of us that sit in choir have the view, and I do watch the door. And think about that man that came in and sat down with his cup of coffee. It was odd. Watched him the short time that he was here, and thought, what are we looking for here? And then he got up and left.
So this time of the year, somebody coming in and having coffee in a religious place, I think is unusual because they really shouldn't be eating while they're doing services. So you can politely say to them,
Why would you get in trouble?
see how they react to that. Maybe you see something on the way. Maybe you see a bulgy type area where they might have a weapon concealed. Police are trained to look for hands. We're always watching your hands. If you're doing a lot of this, we're telling you, pull your hands out of your pockets slowly. Let's see the hands. We don't let you do that because you're all of a sudden going to come out with something faster than us. So we're trying to disrupt your OODA loop, right? And stay on top of it, stay in control. That's what you have to think like. Just right away, powerful up. You're keeping it between you and that person. If the behavior is not there, just call the police. Go back to your pew, let as many people know as you need to know. Something's not right, you guys just started with me, I call the police. Now maybe some of the men, he would be great at it, maybe he moves a little closer to the person. He's ready. He's ready. He's going to be Mike Tyson. You got a plan, buddy? Where's your nose?
I'd have to sit in the back of the church instead of the front.
Or join the choir. We're trapped up here.
Do you want to say anything? I'm not.
No, I just wanted to point to Chief Snyder, since we have Chief Patrick Snyder, the Atlantic County Prosecutor. So.
I'm going to go stand up front because
Yes, thank
it'll
you.
make everybody's neck. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but what an awesome presentation. I'm always impressed by your organization. They're top notch. Everything that they would tell you is all similar to everything you should be hearing from your local police departments. Two things I do want to talk about is first, the Attorney General pushed out a directive that is requiring local municipalities now in New Jersey by January 6th, I think it is, to put plans in place for sensitive areas. So I ask you, whatever town you're in, reach out to your police department, work with them in collaboration for them. It's vitally important. So if you have any challenges with that, I'm going to give you my cell phone number, and you feel free to call me and say, hey, no one's calling me back from this organization, so if anybody wants to take it down, doesn't look like he was reached for any kind of
It's a sensitive area.
What's that?
Why do they
So
sensitive
it's
areas?
defined as mostly the schools, but there are designated facilities in there, and it's also based upon the number of congregations as well. So, but that doesn't matter. What matters is if you're willing to put in a little bit of effort, the police department, the chief there should help you out. I'm also another resource for our office is in charge of, like, not in charge, but we oversee 18 police departments in this county. We have many, many different units in my office, one of which is Homeland Security and Intelligence. Some of you know Joe McFadden and have worked with him before. Joe is retiring in December after 20 years with our agency. So he partners with New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. They'll come out and do site surveys. That's another thing. Call or email me. You can get my contact information off of our website. And we're here to provide a service. It should be free of charge. And also, too, local police departments are busy. I get it. But this is something they're required to do for you when you're paying taxes. And they're not going to come out there and do everything for you. You have to have a little bit of initiative, right? So this has been awesome. I can't thank them for putting this on. Go ahead, ma'am.
One of the things that Joe McFadden, he worked with our congregation in Brigantine, don't want the police to respond to an emergency as their first visit to your place of business or your congregation. And so he encouraged us to have open houses for our police. And we did that several times, and every time there's a, new police on the force, we invite them in to just have a meet and greet and show them what the Torah is and let them see our building, and they know where the exits are. And the first time they come into the building is not an emergency situation.
So I'm so glad you brought that up. It's kind of fitting today. I wrote a draft policy, because one of the things that they're supposed to do, the police department, is have a draft policy. It won't be public, on how they're going to respond to it's called an active violent event. They're getting away from shooter, because it could be using a hammer or a knife or something like that. And I wrote a draft policy for if the municipality so chooses, and today I actually sent people to take a look at it. But one of the things that I put in there that was mandatory is that you have to do annual training for this directive. You have to do this training to respond to these events. Offer to host something at your place. That's number one. And number two is, I also wrote in there that it's a requirement that every officer go through whatever designated places they have, go through, if they have new officers, but not only new officers, because things change. Doors change, walls change. You knock down, you expand. So invite the police over. They'll come in. If you want to go after hours, they're going to look. They can look for places to practice and train. I know that we talked about that. I was a SWAT guy for 10 years. I was a SWAT commander for the county for 8. So I was always looking for new places and resources to go and train. It's non-destructive in nature. We're not going to blow up a wall. But if you let us, we will. We have some recent capability, and we're always going to use it. So I don't do any of that fun stuff anymore. But does anybody have any questions, or if anybody wants my number, I'll be happy to share it. It's 609 517 8460.
Thank you.
Yep. And just text me before you call, because I usually will block them if I don't recognize the number. So I appreciate everybody's time. I wasn't expecting to speak, and I don't think I needed to speak, but the local flavor to the grant question. They do have competitive grants. They're very hard to get.
Very hard to
Very hard to get. But one of the things that you need to do to get the grant is that you actually have to have a site survey done. And that's something our office does in cooperation. And you see a lot of head shaking because they have had them done. And that's free of charge. But you can't apply for a grant unless you actually go through and have the site survey done. He'll come out and tell you, hey, listen, maybe you can trim these bushes, or we'll give you some pointers, simple stuff to get there. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That is our program. Thank you to the chief. Thank you to Tim. Everybody please give Tim a round. Pastor Vicky, and all of Martin Community Church for hosting us on behalf of Bridge of Faith and Jewish Federation. It was really a pleasure learning and growing with all of you tonight to make our community safer. 2 upcoming events for Bridge of Faith. On December 18th, which is next Thursday, we're meeting at Cantor Rouse, Bethel in Margate. Please come for lunch. It's a lunch meeting. We'll talk about Hanukkah and current events. Then, January 22nd, we're having a really special meeting. Instead of a lunch meeting that's constricted to 1 hour, we're having an open-ended dinner where we're going to dive deeper into some of the topics that we kind of just touched the surface of when we meet with our interfaith partners. So please let me know if you'd like to come to that. It's going to happen in Atlantic City at one of the churches, the AME Church. They're hosting us, and it's going to be very special. The people that come to the Bridge of Faith meetings, I think, have been craving a little bit of a deeper dive. So it's going to happen that night, and you're all welcome to come. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.